Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's August 30th, 2025, and we are in the New Testament. We're going to start the book of Luke today. Gospel according to Luke. Who is Luke? Well, who wrote the book of Luke? We don't know. It's not actually written in the book of Luke who wrote it, but we have clues. It's written to a man named Theophilus, God lover. Same as Acts was. And Acts and Luke clearly go together. And Acts, we know that at some point the author of Acts starts switching from they did this to we did this, implying that he is now traveling with them. And if we look at all of Paul's writings and works, the most likely candidate for who would have written Luke and Acts and joined Paul at some time is Luke. So that's how we get Luke as the author. And nobody in the first century doubted that Luke wrote this. Very early, it's credited to him. He was probably a Gentile, probably a physician by nature, a first century physician, so a lot of trial and error to get where his knowledge of things. Very detail oriented. That idea of an everyman philosopher, scientist, who's curious and looking for answers, that kind of describes Luke. I would think of him maybe as a detective or a reporter, a journalist, kind of an idea that he's trying to uncover who is this Jesus. And again, he's writing to this man named Theophilus, who's a Gentile, who's a believer of Christ, but he's got some questions. Well, okay, who exactly do I believe in? Because I'm hearing all these different stories, and Luke is trying to uncover who is Jesus. What is the real story here? What is the story that I can get two or three people to agree to? So not just an individual stories. It's ones that are well known. Ones that if you were in the first century and you would say, oh, hey, I was a follower of Jesus. Yeah, I know that's what Luke is telling you what he told him. So nobody questioned Luke back then when he wrote it. Said, no, you're wrong. It's not how it happened. Now, as we look at some of the other Gospels, there might be some little different details, but it would be more the personal details, where Matthew would say, well, I saw that a little bit differently because I was standing, I wasn't standing in the crowd looking over there. I was standing next to this person, and I was right there. Mark wants us to give Peter's impressions, not necessarily everybody's impression. He's getting his words from Peter. Luke, on the other hand, would have talked to Mark and Peter and James and John and this person and that person and Mary, the mother of Jesus. So he's talking to a bunch of different people to put his story together. Now, he does play with the chronology a little bit, not as much as Mark did when we saw him, but that's how you would write in the first century. So if you're telling a story about a person, so long as I'm telling you actual details from their lives, then I'm allowed to order them in the order that I want them to be in to show you the characteristic that I'm trying to display to you. So we need to keep that in mind as we're trying to put Luke in with Matthew and Mark and John, that sometimes the orders are a little bit different, but is the story the same? Is the story true? That's what we want to key on. And we want to say that, okay, because Luke is putting it in this order, that order must be important to what he's trying to show us. And what does Luke want to show us? He wants to show us what he's trying to show the Gentiles, that Jesus is Lord over all. All right, I guess that's enough introduction. Let's go ahead. We're going to read Luke chapter 1. We're going to read from verse 1 to 25. Now, Luke gives us a lot more in-depth as far as the other Gospels in Jesus' younger life. He's got a little bit different genealogy than Matthew. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Let's go ahead. We're going to read Luke chapter 1, verse 1 to 25. Inasmuch as many have taken in hand to set in order a narrative of those things which have been fulfilled among us, just as those who were from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word delivered them to us, it seemed good to me also, having had perfect understanding of all things from the very first, to write to you an orderly account, most excellent Theophilus, that you may know the certainty of those things in which you were instructed. There was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias, of the division of Abiah, His wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and the ordinances of the Lord, blameless. But they had no child, because Elizabeth was barren, and they were both well advanced in years. So it was that while he was serving as priest before God in the order of his division, according to the custom of the priesthood, his lot fell to burn incense when he went into the temple of the Lord. And the whole multitude of the people was praying outside at the hour of incense. Then an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing on the right side of the altar of incense. And when Zacharias saw him, he was troubled, and fear fell upon him. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zacharias, for your prayer is heard, and your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John. And you will have joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth. For he will be great in the sight of the Lord, and shall drink neither wine nor strong drink. He will also be filled with the Holy Spirit, even from his mother's womb. And he will turn many of the children of Israel to the Lord their God. He will also go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord." And Zacharias said to the angel, "How shall I know this? For I am an old man, and my wife is well advanced in years." Then the angel answered and said to him, "I am Gabriel, who stands in the presence of God, and was sent to speak to you and bring you these glad tidings. But behold, you will be mute and not able to speak until the day these things take place, because you did not believe my words, which will be fulfilled in their own time." And the people waited for Zacharias, and marveled that he lingered so long in the temple. When he came out, he could not speak to them, and they perceived that he had seen a vision in the temple, for he beckoned to them and remained speechless. So it was, as soon as the days of his service were completed, that he departed to his own house. Now after those days his wife Elizabeth conceived, and she hid herself 5 months, saying, "Thus the Lord has dealt with me in the days when he looked on me to take away my reproach among people." May God bless her English word, and may God bless you. Bye.